This was the big image, the global south. Dinner at the banquet hall at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. This was after the swearing-in ceremony, but a reminder of how neighborhood policy was at its best when the new government was being formed. The leaders who attended the banquet included President Ranil Wickremesinghe of Sri Lanka, President Mohammad Muizzu of the Maldives, Vice President Ahmed Afif of Seychelles, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh, Prime Minister Pravind Kumar Jagannath of Mauritius, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dal Prachanda of Nepal, and Prime Minister Sri Lanka of Bhutan. This has been a unique initiative, including the vision to bring together countries of the global south for collective progress and India's ancient philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This has happened previously as well. So at the oath ceremony first, heads of state as per protocol seated on the front row. A reminder that India's parliament elections are as much about acknowledging closest friends and allies as the bigger picture when the new government formation takes place. Conspicuous by absence, of course, were expectedly Pakistan and China. Now, that would be a whole another discussion altogether to have, even though the reasons are obvious for why they were not there. Pakistan Prime Minister, in fact, put out a statement 1 week after the results and hours after the swearing-in ceremony. Felicitations, he said simply. The highlight of all of this was Maldives President Mohammad Muizzu. This was his inaugural visit to a country with whom Muizzu specifically started on a strange note when he had assumed office in November 2023. We remember the India Out campaign. We remember the bully charge. We remember the handshakes and the emerging bonding with the Chinese president. An open pro-China stance that had been taken. And unlike his predecessors who had made the first port of call to New Delhi after assuming office, Muizzu had travelled instead to Turkey first and then to China for his first state visit in January. So many were surprised. There was a full-on social media debate erupting if Muizzu should have even been invited for the swearing-in ceremony of India's new government. Here, Modi 3.0 NDA government. But India, I can say, has shown to be the mature nation here. Diplomacy, especially behind curtains, has to trump social media chatter. He was respectfully invited, he attended, and then Muizzu shared images of him meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Awkward, if you ask me. But the fact is, Maldives is not Pakistan nor China to us. Not a government out to harm India, not yet at least. And perhaps here on, the island nation's government will also realize that India has always been an ally. But one noticeable face was Bangladesh Prime Minister. India and Bangladesh have had a shared history. Once a nation that fought for independence and was partitioned in 1947, Bangladesh was called East Pakistan, but soon realized how they have been discriminated against. So in 1971, Bangladesh forged an identity of its own as an independent country, and India played a pivotal role in that movement. But beyond national political alliances, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina share a cordial personal friendship too, especially as partners of neighbor nations combating terrorism in their respective countries. India has extended support to fellow SAARC nations consistently. In 2020, India dispatched humanitarian aid to Bangladesh during the COVID pandemic. The next year, India also provided with over 1 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Remember also the G20 handshake and a visible friendship between the two leaders to 2024 oath ceremony. The bonhomie has been clear and for all to see. Another member of the SAARC, India and Sri Lanka have been friends and allies for a long time. There's been a lot of history between the two countries. Sri Lanka, in fact, is India's biggest trading partner within SAARC. It has also been an old ally with the region. President Ranil Wickremesinghe comes from a political family that has long been in governance in the nation and has known India on different occasions. In 2022, during Sri Lanka's worst economic crisis, India provided about $4 billion in rapid assistance between January and July. It was a reminder that two nations are willing to stand by each other at their worst times. There is, of course, also the maritime security in the region, which China has been aiming at. But let's not forget our two immediate neighbors, Nepal and Bhutan. They have been possibly closest allies, even though smaller nations. Despite frictions, even with Nepal and sometimes with Bhutan, all these nations with India have come on board on one platform to continue to be allies as a collective decision. Bhutanese Prime Minister Sering Tobgay of Bhutan, in fact, when had won the elections, was first congratulated by Prime Minister Modi. In fact, ever since 1968, India and Bhutan have followed 5-year plans, which is India's commitment of, let's say, 5,000 crores recently for Bhutan's infrastructure, health and education. Hydropower cooperation has been also a key highlight between India and Bhutan. In fact, quite a few times beyond political means, the King of Bhutan has visited India, often also with the family. For Nepal, on the other hand, trade and transit agreements have been most crucial. We have open borders with Nepal, a shared culture and history with the neighbor nation. And similarly, like Bhutan, here hydropower projects again are particularly significant. Nepal also has faced certain stronghold by China, especially after the communist government took over. But for now, India and Nepal have decided to keep their ties strong, and we saw Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda invited to India with full respect. Apart from these diplomatic interactions, there was one side trivia that I noticed: daughters accompanying their parent leader. So whether it was Mauritius Prime Minister or Bangladesh's Prime Minister or Nepalese Prime Minister, the chosen family member of these leaders was their beti. Nice moment, isn't it? Now, Mauritius, meanwhile, is an important ally, not just for the region, but also the people connect here. As you would have noticed, Mauritius Prime Minister Pravind Kumar Jagannath also reflects a significant Indian origin population that resides in Mauritius, and thereby a deep cultural and historical ties. In the top list of trading partners amounting to $555 million in financial year 22-23. And there have been economic agreements signed in 2021 that have added to this bond. And finally, you may think Seychelles is all about incredible beach and sand, but the fact is that between India and Seychelles since 1975, there's also been a link to East African markets. Trade and tourism are the key points here, and just like for Maldives, India plays a crucial role with medical assistance for Seychelles and its people, and hence several medical agreements between the two countries. So there you have it, the global South. If the Western nations can come together to forge different alliances and groups, why can Asia not do the same? We have the intelligence, the human resources, and a willingness and a determination to become better with the nations that have a positive vision. Thank you for watching.